The transport and logistics sector plays an important role in the country's economy and, of course, driving businesses forward. And joining me today is the President as well as the Secretary of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Ms. Gani Dialvis, as well as Dr. Lalit Ediri Singha. And I believe it's an exciting time for the Chartered Institute because we are actually few hours, actually less than 24 hours away from a very big event, which is the National Logistic and Transport Excellence Award 2018, which is being held in Sri Lanka for the very first time. So, Ms. Gani Alvis, I would like to ask you, it must be a very busy time for the Institute. How has the preparations been so far?
Of course. Thank you very much, Catherine, for inviting us. This is going to be the night for all of us in logistics and transport, much awaited event. And we've been waiting for that for the past so many years. And finally, it's going to be a reality. A lot of work happened in the past 1.5 years, and finally it is happening. So we shortlisted the winners, and judges have already identified the winners. So we would know all about them tomorrow. But Chartered Institute, being the premier chartered professional body in the country, who's catering to the professionals in supply chain, logistics and transport, this is going to be a big morale boost for the industry, I would say. So tomorrow you will get to see all the people who have really contributed, the individual, the most eminent person in the industry who has done yeoman service to the logistics and transport sector, and then many corporates who have really done great things to the industry, and we are recognizing them in different categories.
Yes. Yeah? And Dr. Edri, I mean, you are the chairman of the award itself, and I'm sure there are a lot of pressure on you as the main organizer for this. So we were wondering, it's not an easy task to actually evaluate the candidates, and as I believe Ms. Gani said, you all have actually shortlisted a few. Can we talk a bit about how has it been in trying to select these candidates and a bit about the evaluation process?
Well, as you can see from our faces, I mean, the response from the industry has been overwhelming, and it has been a very tough time for our panel of judges to come up with some final list where they will be again filtering from that point onwards. So but at this point I must say one thing for future references, that is there has been a little confusion about the type of the awards. That is when you say excellence awards in logistics and transport, some organizations thought it is only for the logistics providers. Actually it is not that. We want to see the value that an organization can add to the logistics and transport industry, not necessarily the service provider in logistics. For example, if you see a manufacturer is giving business to the transporters, say shipping, because shipping is a derived demand of the international trade. So shipping cannot survive without the service, or rather the supply from the manufacturers. So therefore they are also contributing. So likewise banks, then universities, then even the audit firms. So they all contribute in logistics, because without logistics you cannot survive. So that we had to clear that part. Then we realized that a lot of people are trying to apply. And however, we saw another issue, that since it's the first time of awards, they had a lot of issues in how to fill these forms properly, what kind of information should go in, that kind of problems that automatically came. We expected that situation, because since it is the first time that they are filling an application for awards, so we realized that part, and we had made all the arrangements to give necessary support for them. So all in all, finally we got a very, very good response for the first ever Logistics and Transport Excellence Award in Sri Lanka.
Wow, that's absolutely wonderful to hear that there's been such a response. And I mean, like you mentioned, it's a culmination and a host of different stakeholders in the industry that is involved in national and logistics and transport sector. And we would like to know, the institute has played a pivotal role, in trying to bring this industry to the limelight, especially in Sri Lanka. So in that sense, by carrying out such an award for the very first time, what would it mean to the industry? If I may ask you, Mr. Yavis.
So I think what we have been able to create by organizing an event of this nature for the industry is by to create the awareness on the opportunity available. There are so many stakeholders, like Lalit mentioned, there are so many stakeholders in our industry. It's not only the providers, you have users, there are other unconventional service providers such as the banking industry, other service providers who are really supporting to drive this industry. So all of these players have to come together to make this logistics activity a reality. So in that sense, we created the awareness. So maybe those who couldn't apply this time would now know we also have, because we got only one company who has actually applied as a user. So there are many companies in the industry who can apply, right? So you shouldn't think in the conventional way. CILT always challenging the current status quo, and we do things differently. We creatively do things differently. So what we really want by organizing an award of this nature is to identify best practices from the industry, showcase the special achievements of organizations, and we will also give them the opportunity to talk about those achievements. So after the event, we will do series of programs to share best practices with the other industries, and who knows, next year more companies will come on board, because they didn't know exactly, because everybody was a bit hesitant to apply because they were not sure whether they will fall into this group. So we've learned from our through the process, we have a lot of learnings now. So through that we can create, to raise the bar in terms of service delivery in the industry. So by showcasing and motivating, increasing the morale in the logistics industry and among the professionals, I'm sure we can improve the service, and it can be a huge boost to our economy as well. Yeah.
And to talk about more on the logistic and transport sector, and particularly the award which is being held for the very first time. Well, once again, we would like to remind our viewers that we are talking about the logistic and transport sector in the industry, as well as the National Logistic and Transport Excellence Awards 2018, which will be held in Colombo tomorrow for the very first time. And continuing on the awards that will be taking place tomorrow in Colombo, Dr. Edri Singh, now we would like to speak about the judging process of the awards ceremony, because we know that there are corporates as well as individuals who will be felicitated at the event. May we know more about this process, of course?
Yes, Catherine, actually this has been the biggest challenge that the committee faced, because we wanted to have it very impartial decisions for this process finally, and we faced into a couple of technical issues where, if you find a person or panel of judges from outside the industry, then sometimes they will not be able to really assess their performance. But at the same time, if you have someone from the industry, there can be conflict of interest. So we wanted to balance this too. So what we finally did was we got a cross section of industry personals, and then some professional bodies, chairman and president of professional bodies, and academia. And we were very careful enough not to select from the same industry, that is logistics and transport, but we had a separate team, technical team, in case the panel of judges has a clarification, then they can always go back to the committee and then get some input from there without revealing their names. So that kind of long process we had. In fact, it took almost 3 weeks for us to finally come up to a certain level of final judgments. So it has been going on for some time, because we did not want to do it in a rush, and I think our panel of judges did a very, very good job, and we are still waiting for their final judgment.
Yes,
If
Ms.
I
Kari.
may add a point there, because I was there right throughout as an observer. I must say the evaluations were very professionally done, and I mean it was almost, because individually they all had different views about certain applicants. They just try to ensure that it was all objectively decided, because maybe you know about the company, they must be better than this, but if they have everything was based on the information that was provided. So if there were discrepancies, some had to be disqualified, otherwise you purely went by the application process. I thought that was quite a good thing, because as an observer I saw the level of professionalism and impartiality that they showed at the evaluations.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like you all mentioned, it is the very first time that the institute is doing such a endeavor, and we were wondering, since it's the very first time, I'm sure it's been a learning process or a learning curve for the Chartered Institute going forward when it comes to hosting such an award ceremony. We would like to know what were the learning curves probably that you have seen through this.
I think the biggest learning for us is, how do you really do the communication? We thought we did extensive communication. How do you promote this award? I think it's the conventional methodologies we followed could have improved a bit. So next year, both of us and the committee discussed extensively about this. So we would have a proper participant briefing that will actually remove all the doubts that the participants will have, because some of the when the judges were evaluating the applications, I noticed some applications had basic mistakes. They have not really gone through the rigor. So if you had done a participant pack and a briefing meeting, most of the applications would have been better than what it was. So participant brief is one thing that we want to do next year, and next year also, based on the learnings, because this is the first time we did, so based on the learning, what we want to do is we want to categorize different segments of awards. So we will look at different segments, maybe providers, users, government sector, private sector, like that, education providers. So we'll have different sectors depending on the need in the market, and we will look at that. So those are some of the things, and rest of the things I think we did it well, and we didn't seek for any sponsorships, because being the first event, we wanted to make sure that we should not gives publicity to any company, because our industry, a group of people who are in that, we always reach out to them for sponsorships. So anyway, invariably those big companies would want to sponsorship, as well as they would like to be nominators as well. So we didn't want to have a conflict. So we want to do it the right way at the beginning. Maybe next year we will have a different model to work on it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
To
And
add something
about
to
that,
what
Dr.
Gayani
Singh,
says,
yes.
now actually it is not only the learning only for CILT, it is basically the learning for our applicants and the industry as well, because that was the first time they filled this kind of a form, and I'm sure even for those who applied and were unable to get into the final list, I mean, yet for all, I can say they are winners, because after filling that form, and they have a complete document of what they have done all this time, a very good profile, nicely analyze what they have done. So I think that itself is a winning. So next year what they have to do is to improve that. So that is a good learning for them, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, then there will be more. I mean, now that is the first time, I'm sure that there will be a lot of companies who will be waiting to probably
Exactly.
apply next time around.
Yes.
And Dr. Edri Singh, now we know that there will be eminent personalities who will be attending the award ceremony, like the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, now of course ministers in the relevant industries that are affiliated with transport and logistics. What else can we expect tomorrow?
Well, let's keep it secret for the time being, right? And the other thing what I realize is, as since you came up with this, the personnel that will be coming tomorrow, Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, without any hesitation, he accepted the invitation because he realized that the importance of the event. And then we have the Minister for Ports and Shipping. Then we have Airport Aviation and Transport Minister. Civil Aviation. So, so that kind of the relationship and identifying the importance of it, we can really see. So, even for those who are winning the final awards, I think it will be, they will get the recognition to the best. I think, you know, it's a national event, and with all these very eminent and all these people representing the government of Sri Lanka, and with that.
If I may also add one point, I think we are also for the first time felicitating the past chairman of CILT, Chartered Institute, who have really done yeoman service to the to CILT as well as to the industry. So there are 17 living chairpersons of CILT. So we will be, in addition to awarding the awards, we will also be felicitating them, which I feel showing our CILT, showing Sri Lanka, showing the gratitude to them. And also the CILT International President-elect, Dr. Dato Razak Malik, will be in Sri Lanka as well. And that is a big morale boost to all of us. Yeah.
Yes, and Mrs. Dialvis, very briefly, because we are short of time,
Yes.
What would be the future, aspects towards the Chartered Institute? What would be the future programs following the awards ceremony?
Yes. So our flagship event up until this year was the international convention that we've been organizing in Sri Lanka every year. Now I'm sure this event will overtake that. Let's wait for tomorrow. But that is the next event that is coming up, which we will continue, and maybe next year we might even combine and do that. So we will look at that. So that will be on the 19th of September. But CILT is always doing innovative programs to cater to the industry as well as for the membership. And we'll also be launching a new education program offerings also. So these days there is a CILT international visitor who is in Sri Lanka, who's evaluating new programs in the country. So it will be a whole host of things, and I would urge all of the members to tune in to CILT activities and access our websites www.ciltsl.com to get in to know what we do and be part of us. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you very much, Mrs. Gani Dialvis, as well as Dr. Edri Singh, for joining us today to talk about the National Logistic and Transports Excellence Award 2018, organized by, of course, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, which will take place for the very first time in Sri Lanka. And we hope our viewers found this program, of course, more informative for this particular award ceremony. Thank you for joining us, and we wish our viewers a very pleasant evening.